how many security zones, how we can configure security zones, and why it is needed. And we will also learn interface configuration. Either can configure interfaces, or I mean
Okay.
in the lab also, as well as we will also check few theories about it. So let me just start it. Let me just start from the security zones and security. Security zones, zone is something which is actually needed when we talk about zones.
Mm-hmm.
Let me type it here. Mhm. So we can, this is zone-based firewall. Palo Alto is a zone-based firewall. So we cannot do anything without creating zones. Either we have created interface, but there is no use of interfaces without zones. We have to add our interfaces to a zone to communicate the traffic between within the firewall, or we need to have some zone. So this is, let me just remove this and save it again. So we have these two boxes. I'm just going to get this name, some name for these boxes. Suppose there are interfaces. These are the interface points,
Okay.
and we have a lot of interfaces connected to this zone. If you remember, we had a discussion in the beginning also related this, but we can again check it in the firewall, and before that we can check the theory. So these are the interfaces connected connecting to a zone. We don't know because we are working in a Palo Alto firewall. We don't know about the interfaces much. We only communicate, we only allow the communication of the traffic through the zones. So this is trust zone. Trust zone.
Why is it trust on again? I'm sorry. It's,
Yeah, anything. It could be a DMZ. Suppose let
oh,
it's a DMZ zone. Let remove it DMZ. I'm creating trust because it is a lane. It is a lane network of office, right? So I was
okay. Okay.
creating trust,
Yes.
that is why. So
Okay.
remove it. It is
Okay.
DMG. Just keep it
Okay.
simple.
Okay. So anything
I was just make
that is in the company is trust zone.
yeah. The anything that is in the company. I mean, you are connecting through office is come will come into trust zone, right? Your office network. Suppose there is an employee coming into your network and he's trying to connect Google
Mm-hmm.
from your office network. He will come in the trust zone only when he is able to connect to the Google, when he's in trust zone. I mean, there's an IP will be assigned to him, that IP is related to the known subnet of your office.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
this is DMG. Leave it about DMG. DMG, we cannot make it as a trust zone, but just to think about zone-based firewall, we are just understanding this. So DMG, there is a DMG and there are interfaces. These are interfaces. Interface have a lot of interface. A zone has a lot of interface.
Mm-hmm.
Understood? A zone have multiple interface, but once the interface is aligned to a zone, it cannot be aligned to any other zone. Suppose this is E1.1. Once the interface is aligned to a zone, so we have this E1/1 E1 interface Just take an example of E interface, E3 interface, E4 interface, E5 interface. So we have if these five interfaces, right? We have already associated these interfaces to this zone, DMG zone. These are already associated to DMZ zone. So these interface already associated to DMZ zone. We cannot create, we cannot add these interfaces again to DMG. Suppose E1, E2, sorry, E6, E7, E8, E9, E10. We will start questioning once let me finish the topic. So E10, 11, E2. So this E2 is revising here. It is already a part of DMG and now E2 is going to be a part of untrust zone.
Okay.
So that cannot be happen. Once the interfaces has been associated to DMZ, that same interface cannot be associated to any other zone. Any other zone, either it is trust, untrust, either it is DMZ, it is any other zone which we have defined in the firewall. So we have to remove it. So once the interface is connected to the DMZ, any one zone that cannot be a part of any other zone, right? So interface should be different while creating to the creating for the different zone. This is untrust zone. So we have created these zones to the untrust side, untrust zone,
Okay.
right?
Okay. Okay.
Hope it is clear. So these are the different interfaces for one zone, and these are the different interfaces for untrust zone. So zone can have multiple interfaces, but interface can have only one zone.
Interface can have one zone. Yes. Okay.
Yeah. So interface cannot be a part of different zone, but zone can have multiple interfaces.
In one Palo Alto firewall, you can create two different zones, or you need two different Palo
Yep,
Alto.
we can create the multiple zones
Okay.
in one
But
Palo Alto firewall. We
but
can have
but one interface you said cannot be into for two zones. One interface for either it's one interface is either trust or not trust or untrust, but it cannot be in two
any,
zones.
yeah. So
Okay.
one interface can be a part of one interface can have only one zone.
One zone. Okay.
Yeah, one interface can have
One
only one
interface.
zone. Yep. Can have only one zone. Same interface cannot be aligned to the different zone. The same interface cannot be aligned to the different zone.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, but a zone can have multiple interfaces. See, multiple
Yes,
interfaces.
yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. Yes, makes sense.
So let's go here. This is something. A zone is logical grouping of traffic on a network. Zone names have no security policy association. So inside zone. So what I'm trying to say here, same security zone, there is no security policy for same security zone. Let me just show it here. Suppose this is also DMG. So this is also DMG and this is also DMG. So both are DMG, right? So there is no security policy required to communicate the traffic to allow the traffic between these two zones because these both are DMG zones. So internet, this is called intranet traffic, intranet traffic. Same zone traffic can be allowed by default. You can write it somewhere, right? Same zone traffic can be allowed by default in the Palo Alto firewall.
Same zone
Zone
traffic
traffic can be allowed by default.
can be allowed by default. Let me try to understand. Same zone traffic
Mhm.
can be allowed by what?
By default,
By
it is already
default.
allowed in the firewall.
If it's the same
There is,
zone. So like if
yeah, same.
mm,
So
okay.
there is no security policy needed. There is no security
Okay,
policy
okay, got it, got it,
needed
got it.
to,
Yes, yes.
yeah, to
Because
allow
it's
traffic. It is
the
already allowed.
same zone.
Correct, because this is the same zone. Same
Okay.
zone will have same kind of subnets.
Mm-hmm.
Let
Okay.
me open the firewall and will show it to you.
Mm-hmm.
Same zone traffic will mm, not required to have any security policies, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let me show you that in the firewall. So this is very basic and this has to be clear before working in the production.
Okay.
So you will not be allowed to create any policies for the same zone traffic. See, there is a Palo Alto intra-zone traffic is allowed by default.
Mm-hmm.
Traffic within a zone.
Mm-hmm.
So interzone traffic is denied by default. Interzone, what is interzone traffic? Interzone traffic is something
Mm.
traffic between zones, not within
Traffic
zones.
between
Traffic
zones.
between
Okay.
zones. So either it is inside zone, DMZ zone, data center zone, outside zone. These are the name of zones. So if inside zones traffic wants to communicate with the data center zone, there should be a security policy. Without security policy, it is not allowed. It is denied by default.
Mm-hmm.
This is called interzone.
What was it? Failed to what?
Sorry?
What was the error? It
Yeah,
failed.
failed to restart. Failed to restart.
Mm.
An occurred while storing the virtual machine state from this. Now cause the resume operation to fail, preserve the suspended state, correct the error. Discard it and then we can resume it again. It is happening just because I have moved some file from C drive to somewhere else. That is why it is
Mm.
coming. I have discarded it. So it was checking for the files which I have
Mm-hmm.
moved from C to other folders.
Mm-hmm.
So to resume from the place where we left.
Mm-hmm.
So it is clear, right? Interzone traffic is not allowed.
Mm-hmm.
Intrazone traffic is allowed by default.
Yes.
We need to have security policies. We need to create security policies to allow the interzone traffic.
Mm-hmm.
See, you can see right outside zone and inside zone. So there is a need of security policies to communicate the traffic. Either it is same interface or not. Interface will be different. Obviously, the zone is different. So either it is communicating to E1 to the traffic is going to E1 to E5. There should be a need of security policy because these are the different zones. If traffic is coming, suppose there are two interfaces. So traffic is coming from E1.1 to E1.1 to E1.2. E1.2 sub interface or any other interface we have created, I suppose. So there is no need of security policies. There is
So,
no need.
that what's in the red arrow? What's inside? What's the writing?
So this has been written denied traffic. So denied
Deny.
it is.
So for example, if I understand this right, okay, outside zone, in order to allow traffic, whatever, there is a router, whatever, between the Palo Alto and the outside zone. Like, okay, but anything like, let's say, for example, we have two data centers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Between the two data centers, if they're within the same zone, no need
Mm-hmm.
for, by default, traffic is
Correct,
allowed default.
correct.
Okay, the DMZ zone, DMZ is, it's intra zone because it's like in between the outside and the inside, right? It's in the.
Intrazone means intrazone DMZ zone. Suppose
Mm,
one data center has DMZ zone, other data center also have the same DMZ
mm,
zone.
mm,
So the traffic from one data center to a different data center will be allowed by default. I'm talking about virtually.
mhm,
It is not
mhm,
practically possible, but I'm talking about virtually deployed firewall. DMZ zone has same subnet, and also
mhm,
the different data center has DMZ zone have same subnet. So same
mhm.
subnet, you can consider like it. Same subnet traffic is allowed by default. Intrazone. It is saying intrazone means the traffic is flowing between within the zone. The
Okay,
traffic is
okay,
flowing within the zone. It is not
okay.
going from here to here. It is not going from here to here, right? It is communicating between zones because we have multiple interfaces. Traffic is coming from one interface to another interface within the zone.
Within the zone, no, no, it's allowed within the
It is
zone.
allowed. Yeah,
And
in the
with
zone.
in the zone, and between data center zone and DMZ in that picture, it's also allowed between the two, or it's not allowed because they're two different zones.
So
The
data
data
center
center.
zone
Uh-huh.
and DMZ zone. So
Uh-huh.
these are two different zone. One
Okay.
and two. These are two
Okay.
different zones. So this is not allowed. We need to have
Not
security
allowed.
policies. So
Okay.
see,
Okay,
allowed
got it.
default. So it is the server is communicating to this PC, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this
Mm-hmm.
is within the zone. This is within the zone, within the
Mm-hmm.
inside. So it is
Mm-hmm.
allowed by default.